Good morning to all the NEET aspirants. This is your Prasanna Ma'am from NEET World. So yes, today we are going to discuss about the last segment from the chapter photosynthesis in higher plants, and those are factors affecting photosynthesis. So this concept seems to be very minimal, but then the questions which are arising from this concept of photosynthesis in higher plants, that is factors affecting photosynthesis, are quite difficult. Mostly the questions which are coming from the factors affecting photosynthesis are of moderate to difficult level. Okay, they are of moderate to difficult level. Clear, ma? So what type of questions we can expect? Like analytical based questions, assertion reason and statement based. Mostly those questions only will come from factors affecting photosynthesis. So what are the factors affecting photosynthesis? Before entering into the concept, first let us look into the intro briefly. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants transform light energy into chemical energy. We know that is light energy photons is transformed to chemical energy, that is ATP and NADPH. That is why this is called as what? Photochemical process. This is called as photochemical process. Fine. And this you see, it is under the influence of several factors, both external factors and internal factors will decide this process. Here one concept will come into picture beta. What is that? Blackman's law of limiting factor. Blackman's law of limiting factor. This is observed when several factors affect any biochemical reaction. So this is put forward by F. Blackman. Okay, this is put forward by whom? F. Blackman. He is a British plant physiologist. Okay, so Blackman's law of limiting factors clearly tell you that if a chemical process is affected by one or more factors, then the rate of that chemical reaction will be determined by the factor that is nearest to the minimal value. Okay, so when a chemical process is affected by more than one factors, then the rate of it will be determined by the factor which is nearest to the minimal value. It is the factor that directly affects the process if quantity is changed. Okay, this factor is directly affected if the process, if the quantity is changed. Okay, so what is in gist about the Blackman's law of limiting factor? If any chemical reaction or any biochemical process is affected by multiple factors, then the entire process is decided by that factor which is closest to the minimal value. Clear with respect to Blackman's law of limiting factor? Now let us look into the external factors that are affecting photosynthesis. Primarily light is one external factor, second is carbon dioxide, third will be water, then temperature, then oxygen. All these are the external factors which affect the process of photosynthesis. First let us look into light. How light can affect the process of photosynthesis? In three ways. One is light intensity, duration of light. Okay, light intensity, light duration and wavelength, like increase in temperature because of light. Okay, so these are the ways in which light is affecting the process of photosynthesis. So the rate of photosynthesis will increase initially as light intensity increases, carbon fixation rate increases and photosynthesis process also increases. So here if you see, as the light intensity increasing, rate of the photosynthesis is also increasing until it reaches a saturation point. Okay, so here as slowly the light intensity is increasing, rate of photosynthesis is also increasing. This light comes to a saturation point at just 10% of full sunlight. Remember this. Okay, light comes to the saturation point at just 10% of the total sunlight, and here blue and red wavelengths are optimum for photosynthesis. Both the wavelengths, blue and red wavelengths, are optimum for photosynthesis. So the rate of photosynthesis will slowly increase as the light intensity increases, then it reaches to the saturation point because other factors will be minimal at that point. So, where is the saturation point of light? Just 10% of the total sunlight. Blue and red regions of the light, blue and red wavelengths are optimum for photosynthesis. Light duration will not affect the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, light duration will not affect the rate of photosynthesis, but amount of photosynthesis will be looked into on whole. Light will be rarely a limiting factor because light is abundantly present. So, light will be rarely a limiting factor. Here what you have to keep in your mind mainly beta, light is rarely a rarely a limiting factor of photosynthesis. Second is increase in the intensity of light will gradually increase the rate of photosynthesis, and at one point there comes the saturation point which is 10% of total sunlight. Blue and red wavelengths are optimum for photosynthesis. Then light duration does not affect the rate of photosynthesis, but it affects the overall process. Okay. Next, here you see, next is what? Carbon dioxide concentration. Okay. Next is carbon dioxide concentration affecting the process of photosynthesis. So, what is the optimal range of carbon dioxide concentration? That is 0.03 microliters per liter, or else you can say 0.03% just as whole. Okay. So, carbon dioxide optimum concentration will be 0.03%. Increase in the carbon dioxide concentration up to 0.05% can enhance or increase the rate of photosynthesis. But beyond that, if carbon dioxide concentration is increasing, then the photosynthesis process will be affected or damaged. Same the case of light also. When the light intensity is increasing more than the saturation point, then it will damage the chlorophyll. Okay. Increase in light, okay, increase in light intensity than the saturation point will damage what? Chlorophyll. Clear ma? And here you see, yeah, carbon dioxide concentration is optimum at 0.03%. Increase in carbon dioxide concentration up to 0.05% can enhance the rate of photosynthesis, but beyond that, if carbon dioxide concentration is increased, then it leads to the process affecting, like photosynthesis process will be affected. So, here 0.03% to 0.04 in atmosphere, first carbon dioxide, here it will be a limiting factor. It is increasing up to 0.05, then it increases the rate of photosynthesis. Beyond this, the levels can become damaging over long periods. And then how carbon dioxide concentration is affecting C3 plants and C4 plants. We know C3 plants are what beta? Temperate plants, and C4 plants are what? Tropical plants. So, here if you see on the x axis we have plotted carbon dioxide concentration, on the y axis rate carbon dioxide uptake is given. So, at the levels of carbon dioxide increases, as the levels of carbon dioxide increase, the rate uptake also increases. Okay. As carbon dioxide concentration increases, the rate uptake also increases both in C3 and C4. Can you see here, both in C3 and C4 the rate uptake of carbon dioxide is also increased, but the saturation point of C3 plants is less when compared to the saturation point of C4 plants. Okay. So, C4 plant carbon dioxide concentration is just before 300, around 360 microliters per liter. C4 species carbon dioxide concentration saturation point is 360 microliters per liter, and C3 plants carbon dioxide concentration is around 450 microliters per liter. Clear, right ma? So, here we have C3 plants and C4 plants. What is the carbon dioxide concentration effect on that plants? C3 plants, their carbon dioxide concentration or the saturation point is 450 microliters per liter, and C4 species you can see that is before 400, around 360 microliters per liter. So, this is the optimum point, saturation point of C3 and C4. Why is the saturation point of C3 plants more high than the C4 plants? Because C3 plants or C3 species have rubisco. rubisco as carbon dioxide acceptor. The primary carbon dioxide acceptor for C3 plants is what ma? Rubisco. So this rubisco has the capacity, it has both the activities, dual nature, right? It has both the functions, carboxylase and oxygenase. So it can bind both with carbon dioxide and oxygen. So this rubisco, when it is binding with oxygen and carbon dioxide, it has both the options, right? So here the carbon dioxide rate should be increased to fit the competition between the oxygen and and carbon dioxide. Okay. So to fit the competition between carbon dioxide and oxygen, the carbon dioxide concentration should be increased for C3 species. Whereas for C4 species or C4 plants, the primary carbon dioxide acceptor will be what? Pepcase. Pepcase is the primary carbon dioxide acceptor which will bind only to carbon dioxide. So its saturation point is minimal when compared to C3 plants. It is just 360 microliters per liter. Clear, right? Till here it is fine, Nama. Now let us look into the saturation point once again, that after a point, even as the levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide increases, the rate of assimilation of the uptake of carbon dioxide does not increase. So if there is a question about the comparative analysis of carbon dioxide saturation point with C3 plants and C4 plants, keep it in your mind that C3 plants carbon dioxide concentration, that saturation point will be high than the C4 plants. It is because of what enzyme activity ma? Rubisco, because there the competition comes between carbon dioxide and oxygen, thereby we have to increase the carbon dioxide concentration levels, then only rubisco will bind with carbon dioxide. That is the reason C3 species will have high carbon dioxide saturation point, that is 450 microliters per liter. It is fine till here, Nama. And here I have to tell you one more point, as C3 species will have higher carbon dioxide saturation point. If we grow C3 plants in carbon dioxide enriched atmospheres, that will increase the photosynthesis rate. Okay. So the best examples for this are tomato and bell pepper. Tomato and bell pepper. So these are grown in carbon dioxide enriched atmospheres as greenhouse crops. Okay, as what? Greenhouse crops. Fine. As greenhouse crops they are grown. Tomato and bell pepper. Okay, they are grown in the greenhouse as greenhouse crops in carbon dioxide enriched atmospheres to increase the photosynthetic rate. Clear till here, right? Next, water. About water, water is also the limiting factor. Than affecting the photosynthesis, water will show the overall effect on the plant. How? The loss of water from plant as a result of transpiration. If the temperature is increasing, water is being transpired from the plant. As a result of transpiration, water is lost from the plant. Then what happens? It leads to, this prevents the gaseous exchange like carbon dioxide when stomata is closed. When that the water loss is due to transpiration, the reduced surface area, reduced metabolic activity. Okay. So here water shows two effects, one in the turgid conditions and the other in the flaccid conditions. Turgid and flaccid conditions. In turgid conditions, that is in high water areas, the leaves gets wilted. Why the leaf is getting wilted? This reduces surface area, thereby metabolic activity will get reduced. And flaccid condition, in the drought areas and water stress, how the plant is responding? Just by closing the stomata and avoiding the process of transpiration. This will avoid what? Transpiration, and thereby it will hold the water which is present in the plant. So here two effects are seen. One is wilting and the other is closure of stomata, stomatal closure. These are the two responses shown by the plant for water stress. So when it comes to the limiting factor water rather than showing the effect on the photosynthesis process, this shows overall effect on the plant. Remember that. Okay. Next, about temperature. The light reactions are temperature sensitive. Light reactions are temperature sensitive because they are directly dependent on light and light intensity, okay, but they are affected much lesser extent when compared to dark reactions. Dark reactions are totally temperature controlled, okay, they are temperature controlled, be it Rubisco or Pepcase or Rubisco, Pepcase, or if we have to say about pep synthase for pep regeneration, pep synthase. Pep synthase is specially cold sensitive enzyme, okay, this is cold sensitive enzyme, okay. So here of course light reactions are temperature sensitive, but it is to a lesser extent. Dark reactions are more temperature controlled processes like Rubisco, Pepcase, Pepsynthase. Pepsynthase is cold sensitive enzyme. C3 plants have much lower temperature optimum, okay. C3 plants have very much low temperature optimum like 20 to 25 degrees Celsius of C3 plants. C4 plants, the temperature optimum is 30 to 45 degree Celsius, okay. Lastly, oxygen. Oxygen will only affect the C3 plants. The level of oxygen will affect the C3 plants only, like how we will see. Under the conditions involving high concentrations of oxygen, Rubisco will compete with oxygen and acts as oxygenase, okay. Rubisco will compete with oxygen and this will act as what? Oxygenase. This is known as Van Berg effect. Van Berg effect is nothing but decrease in any biochemical process when there are high oxygen conditions. When there is oxygen enriched conditions, decrease in the biochemical process is called as what? Van Berg effect. This will prevent Rubisco from binding to what? Carbon dioxide. Hence, carbon dioxide fixation is significantly reduced because of the increase in the oxygen content, okay. If the oxygen rates are more, that will inhibit the Rubisco in binding with carbon dioxide, thereby carbon dioxide fixation gets reduced, and this is what effect? Van Berg effect. Eventually rate of photosynthesis is also reduced, right. When oxygen concentrations are decreased, eventually the rate of photosynthesis will also reduced. When oxygen concentration is increased, carbon dioxide will be decreased, and Rubisco shows oxygenase activity, binds to oxygen, and this eventually affects the rate of photosynthesis. Next, let us look into the internal factors that are affecting photosynthesis. What are the external factors that we have looked into, beta? Light in that light intensity and duration specifically, and then carbon dioxide concentration, temperature, water. These are the external factors that we have looked into. Now let us see the internal factors. Internal factors include number and arrangement of mesophyll cells, orientation of leaves, age of leaves, size of leaves, number of leaves, amount of chlorophyll, and photosynthetic products, okay. So here if you see, first, number and arrangement of mesophyll cells. So if you see in the monocot plants or isobilateral leaves, where you can find only the spongy mesophyll cells, okay, only spongy mesophyll cells are present, whereas here in the dicot leaf, that is dorsiventral leaf, we have both palisade parenchyma, those are palisade mesophyll cells, and spongy mesophyll cells, okay. Both palisade and spongy mesophyll cells will be present. So this will increase the rate of photosynthesis. Palisade parenchyma, which are tightly packed with less intercellular spaces, will conduct the high rate of photosynthesis than the leaves which has only spongy parenchyma. So here this is how this is affecting what? Number and arrangement of mesophyll cells. Clear right now? So this arrangement which has palisade and spongy mesophyll cells will conduct the higher rate of photosynthesis. This, if you see the orientation of leaves, we have many orientation of leaves like spiral phyllotaxy, alternate phyllotaxy, whorled phyllotaxy, opposite phyllotaxy. Based on the arrangement of the leaves also photosynthesis is affected. So, here if you can see those leaves in which the orientation is shown towards the sunlight like this, there the photosynthesis activity is more, and here in the wilted leaves it will be less. So, it is depending on the orientation of the leaves also. Next, age of the leaves. Here we have young leaves and mature leaves, okay, old leaves. So, age of the leaves also matters for the photosynthesis. Mature leaves will conduct a maximum amount of photosynthesis than the old or young leaves. Next, size of the leaves are also matter. Big leaves, broad side leaves will conduct more photosynthesis than small leaves, okay. So, size of the leaves also matter for photosynthesis. Next, you see number of the leaves. Those plants which has high number of the leaves will conduct photosynthesis, maximum number of photosynthesis. Those plants which have very less or very few leaves will conduct less photosynthesis. So, maximum number of leaves will increase the photosynthetic rate. Lastly, amount of chlorophyll, that is a major factor actually. The non-green parts of variegated leaf. Variegated leaves mean those leaves which doesn't have complete green parts. Those leaves which have green and non-green parts in it are called as variegated leaves. Best example is croton, okay. They do not have chlorophyll, okay. Photosynthetic number is the amount of carbon dioxide assimilated by 1 gram of chlorophyll in an hour. Remember that. Photosynthetic number is nothing but amount of carbon dioxide assimilated by 1 gram of chlorophyll in 1 hour. It was observed a direct relationship between chlorophyll content and the leaf and the rate of photosynthesis. There is a direct relationship between what? Chlorophyll content and rate of photosynthesis. So, increase in rate of photosynthesis or increase in chlorophyll content, increase in chlorophyll content will increase the rate of photosynthesis, or we can call it as assimilation number as well. And this, if all other factors are favorable, increased chlorophyll leads to what? Increase in photosynthesis, okay. So, here increase in chlorophyll content increases the rate of photosynthesis, increase in chlorophyll increases the photosynthetic number. Photosynthetic number is also called as assimilation rate. Assimilation rate. Fine. Next question. Next we will see photosynthetic products. Photosynthetic products will also inhibit the reaction, okay. Photosynthetic products like glucose. Glucose we all know it is the primary product of photosynthesis. Glucose is the primary product of the photosynthesis. This will inhibit what? Carbon dioxide, okay. Glucose inhibits carbon dioxide, which is the primary product of photosynthesis, which means that higher the glucose rates, then it will reduce the carbon assimilation, okay. Carbon dioxide getting fixed or assimilated will be inhibited by higher glucose rates, okay. Accumulation of carbohydrate causes feedback inhibition, that is products will inhibit the reaction of the reactants, okay. Rate of photosynthesis decreases because concentration of the photosynthetic products in the cells will increase the rate of respiration, okay. So, here rate of photosynthesis will decrease because concentration of photosynthetic products in the cell increases, and that will increase the rate of respiration than photosynthesis. So, increase in the glucose content or increase in the carbohydrates in a cell will increase the rate of respiration and decrease the rate of photosynthesis or carbon dioxide fixation or carbon assimilation. Clear till here, right? So, with this the complete factors affecting photosynthesis are done. We have discussed totally about external factors and internal factors. Any doubts anywhere, just drop a message in the comment section. I will be answering and clarifying your doubts better. So, I'd like to sum up the session. By giving you a brief introduction about NEET World special programs. Here in NEET World, we have NEET World's 1 Step to Medicine for 12th standard students. We have NEET World's 2 Step to Medicine for 11th standard students, and we have NEET World's Power Step to Medicine. All the 3 programs are with the same minimal fee of 3333 per month, where you will be getting the complete lecture content with complete study materials and 2 master revision strokes. You can call us to the given number to know more details about these programs, and you can directly visit our branch, which is in Narayanguda, Hyderabad. And to all the students who are studying in the offline platform, like who are planning for self-study for NEET 2026, NEET World is here for you through our Telegram group. Like, we are giving you daily quizzes of biology, physics, chemistry and mathematics in this Telegram group, and live classes schedules will be updated, live class schedules, free resources are provided, one-on-one doubt solving sessions with faculties are also provided. So, to log in into this Telegram group, you can scan the QR code which is given over here, or you can directly visit our official website, which is www.neetworld.in. Okay. So, this is all about today's class. We will come up tomorrow. From tomorrow, with regards to our 100 concepts, I am going to start the core botany concepts starting from the living world. Okay. So, we will be exercising in that way. After then, we will be looking into the respiration in plants. Okay. So, thank you, and we will meet you tomorrow.